Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's time for the Brown Sports Bag. From the heart of the Barrens, a weekly local sports machine. Alongside John Butler, here's your host, James Brown.
All right, John, we're back here on the Brown Sports Bag this week. We've got a couple of coaches lined up. I thought Coach Mahung would be here by now. I told him 4 o'clock this morning whenever I texted him. So anyway, but we'll get to that. We're going to talk a little bit about golf because amazingly enough, the 2024 fall golf season started today, and we had Barren County was hosting their boys tournament today. Got some results from there, and it was not a bad day out there at Barren River State Park. It was humid, but luckily it was overcast most of the day, so it wasn't sweltering. So not a bad day to get out there and play a little bit of golf. They got started at 8:30 this morning with a shotgun start across, as that works. Everybody's on a hole, and then they fire the horn, and everybody swats the first ball, and there we roll. And so they got done a little bit before 2, about 2 o'clock. So, it was about 5.5 hours for them to get done with the tournament. Not bad at all, really.
No, not when you're walking.
No, not bad at all. And so Griffin Jackson for Glasgow actually won it as an individual. He shot even par 71. He's just an 8th grader.
That's great.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good.
He will be an 8th grader or be a freshman?
Yeah, he'll be an 8th grader. That's right. Yeah, because last year he qualified for that semi-state as a 7th grader. Him and 2 seniors made that trip.
You see that more often in girls.
Yes, you do.
You do not see a lot of 8th grade boys competing with the junior, senior boys just because of strength-wise. Guys tend to grow later and so forth. So that's awesome. I've never seen him play, but it tells me he probably has a tremendous short game. I'm guessing too. Yeah,
because he's not going to drive it real far. He's gotten a little bigger since last year, but mainly he gets around the green and he's really tough. I mean, he had a shot today. I think it was on number 6. I think it was. And he was just off the fairway and chipped on. And, I swear the ball just rested right on the lip of the hole. Thought it was going to go in there for a second. So, he's just that kind of short game guy. He's not going to overpower people, but, man, around the green, he's tough. And so had a good day. None of the other locals, like for Barren or Glasgow, finished in the top 5 in terms of individuals. The 2 teams finished. I don't know what their placements were, but Glasgow shot 333 as a team, and then Barren shot 344 as a team. If you think about it, coming back from last year outside of Griffin Jackson for Glasgow, they only returned, they lost Bo Shelton and Jace Cook, two college-level golf players who graduated. So they lost those 2 guys. They did bring back Tate Pace, who had a good start last season. He kind of faded down the stretch. And then Barren, of course, lost Jamison Corbin and Kyla Keeney, who are both college golf players. So the top end for both teams were trimmed off due to graduation. So they're going to have to build up this season. Braden Furlong for Barren had their best round of the day. I think he shot a 76, so he didn't have a bad day at all. He's played pretty well during the summer. And then Harrison Belcher shot 78 for Glasgow, so not a bad day for him. And otherwise, everybody was 80 or above. And, we'll see how they grow as the season goes along. This is kind of a transition year for both of them in a way. Braden's a senior for Barren. I don't know if anybody else is a senior for Barren. And I think Harrison is a senior for Glasgow. And I think he might be the only senior for Glasgow. So, they're both of them are pretty young compared to what they've been the last couple of years. And then here's the interesting thing to me was the team title was won by Mason County. They shot 313. Second place was Metcalfe County with a 314.
It's a great score.
Yeah.
No offense, but they're not necessarily known to have a lot of great team golfers. So you did have Trey Shirley, who's one of the better players that's come out of here a long time. In fact, went professional. Yeah,
they've had some individuals through the years who have been very good. And but yeah, as far as teams, but I think Colin Shive may have finished 3rd overall. So whenever we'll come back later, hopefully we get some results from the Barren County girls playing in Owensboro at the Davis County Invitational, and we'll try to give you guys some updates on that toward the end of the show. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have Glasgow boys soccer coach Ken Mahung.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
All right, we're back here on the Brown Sports Bag. I have Coach Ken Mahung in here with us to talk about Glasgow Scotty soccer. I was looking over your schedule last year and your results from last year, and I did not realize until I was looking at this, I think you only had 3 seniors last year?
Yes.
And so that kind of surprised me because you've kind of had a run where you had like 5 or 6 seniors each year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was like, oh, well, look at that. So, I mean, basically you have more or less the same team back from last year. I think you had, your seniors last year were Nick Bauer, Aiden Moore, and Hudson Stahl were the 3 seniors.
Great memory, yes.
So, I mean, it's so it kind of just struck me. I mean, those guys played quite a bit. And, I mean, especially Nick up top there as a kind of a setup man for you in your sets. But yeah, you have I think 3 of your top 5 goal scorers back, and so it looks like you have a pretty good returning situation. Is that kind of how you see this?
Oh yes, even last year, all 3 graduating seniors were key players for us. Mm-hmm. So we lost some really for the first time. We lost all key players. Mm-hmm. All 3 were very key players for us. But then we had a young team. We had a bunch of freshmen, sophomores. Mm-hmm. So this year, they've matured a lot over the last couple of seasons. So yeah, it's a much better team, much stronger team.
Does that allow you to kind of do some things a little more advanced in terms of what you want to try to accomplish on offense and defense?
Yes, it's like you've been in our practices. Absolutely.
So what are some of those things that you want to try to do that are more advanced? I mean, what are some of the things you want your players coming back to execute that you didn't feel like they were quite ready to do last year?
Right. Well, I was hoping they were ready, but they weren't.
Right.
Because I kept telling them, you could do this, but they're like, no. This year it's a lot about on defense. Our defense has to get better. We're still working on that. Mm-hmm. But after being at the Bluegrass, we can see how we've improved. From practice to practice. Our midfield can do a whole lot better, and that improved as well. And then our forward line, it's all about the movement. The whole team, we have to focus on moving as a team and working as a team. Many times over the last couple of seasons, it's been more individual play.
Mm-hmm. So is that when you say move as a team, and I guess that means moving without the ball spots on the field so that they're available for the ball to be passed to them?
That's correct. No, because anybody can move with the ball.
Yeah.
The key thing is can you move without the ball? Mm-hmm. And that's what we have to get better at.
Right. When you look at your schedule, I think you guys printed out, but then I believe I forgot to bring it in here after I printed it out. Anyway, you guys, I think, start on August 13th. Is that correct?
Our first game, yes, I think it's August 13th. Uh-huh.
When you set the schedule up this year, because I know you usually try to challenge your players and that kind of thing, were you looking at your schedule and thinking, okay, we can upgrade this schedule this year because I know these guys have more experience and they're more capable?
It's a stronger team. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
So what were some teams that you wanted to try to get on there that maybe you hadn't played or had in the past, but we're trying to get them back on there, you think?
Regular season, Warren Central, on Bowling Green. We went for Apollo again, but then it clashed with our Class 2A game, so we had to scratch that one.
Okay.
We have John Harden, so we have some. I don't remember some of the other ones, but Franklin Simpson, who we hadn't played in a couple of seasons, so they're in their schedule as well.
Gotcha.
And some other ones that normally we don't play. Mm-hmm. So.
You mentioned the 2A. I noticed, I think your first game is it the one against Warren East? Is that the way that works out?
No, our first game, we get a bye.
Oh, okay.
And then we play the winner of, I think, Logan County and Allen County at home.
I see. So that's the one that says TBA at home on the schedule?
And that's the one that we had to cancel the game with Apollo with.
I got you. Okay.
Right.
I wasn't sure because last year you guys opened with Warren Central in that 2A, which was a tough one to open with for a first game of the season too.
Yeah, but we enjoy, Coach Ray and I are pretty good friends, and so as I always tell him, he's one of the only coaches that I've never beaten. And so then he told me, we're not in Class 2A. So I saw him at the Lovers Complex. Yeah. And I said, I'm looking forward to playing you this year. We played him 2 games. We played him scrimmage. Mm-hmm. No, 3 games. We scrimmage with them, which is coming up either this Thursday or next Thursday. Mm-hmm. And then we play them regular season. Mm-hmm. And then I thought we were going to play them in Class 2A. He said, no, you're not playing us as Class 2A. So.
All right. Let's talk about some of your players that you do have coming back. who are some of the ones that you're looking at and you're like, okay, they've got to have good seasons or they got to play to their capabilities this year?
Well, a lot of our sophomores that are now juniors, like Jared, definitely. We have, let me see who's there. Well, and then we have our upcoming seniors like Avery, Darwin, and I know I'm missing some of them.
Yeah.
But our goalkeeper, Walker, we have at least 7 seniors, so I'm forgetting at least 4 of them. They get mad at me, but I don't remember it right now. But we have some strong seniors this year.
Yeah.
Is a point. In the past, we've had seniors, and most of them were just playing soccer for the first time or the second year. This year, we have seniors that have been with us for a while, and that's why this team is a whole lot stronger than the teams in the past, or should be a whole lot stronger than teams in the past.
Yeah. So, are you like doing your 2-a-day practices?
Yes.
They adjusted that pretty quickly?
They're used to it now. After all these years, they're used to that. They looked forward to it. They said, Coach, when did we start? They moved up the date for 2-a-day practices.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we normally waited, right, until
the first week of June.
First week of June. They're like, no, right after school. Once school ends, which is like the middle of May. And so we started then, and they said, no, we want to start right away. So for them, this group is different. They're very committed. They know we have to put the work in to win. They don't take it for granted like the last 2 teams, where because they had this record of winning all the time, they felt like they just need to show up and they would win. This group of kids, maybe because they lost, a
couple of years
ago, exactly.
Yeah.
It kind of reignited their fire to win. And so they work hard. They work really hard.
I didn't really think about that, but yeah, you do have a group. You mentioned your seniors and your juniors. I mean, they were part of the team that's been the worst team you've had since you've been here.
That's correct.
Record-wise.
Yep, and they talk about it a lot.
Do they? And so, I mean, I'm sure that they can look back at the history of the program since you've been here and since they've been growing up in it, and they don't want to repeat that process. They got that renewed idea that, you do have to work in order to maintain the quality you guys want to keep.
That's correct.
Which I guess is a good thing for you from a coaching perspective, is to know that your program is kind of, the players in the program are kind of taking care of themselves in terms of their motivation.
Yes. It helps a lot, because then we can focus more on the tactics, the things that really, they're important, but it can't beat a mindset. But they already have the mindset.
Yeah.
So it helps us a lot. Even then they set the tone for our younger guys. And I was talking to you about our young goalkeeper, Josue. He's a freshman, but because he sees the work ethic, he's in there and he's working really hard. Never been a goalkeeper,
right?
But it's quite impressive. We have Isaiah, who's going to be a sophomore, and Efren, who's going to be a sophomore. So we have a lot of sophomores. We have Tomas and Josue. They're going to be seniors. Those are 2 I forgot. They're going to be seniors, right?
Right.
Yenner, who's going to be a senior.
Yeah.
But all these kids are really, really good.
Good. What are your expectations for your team this year? I mean, what do you think they can accomplish?
My biggest expectation is, as even Coach Fabiola tells me about this, it's about being consistent. The last few years we've had this situation where we go in, we beat a team, we win 2 games in a row, and then we lose 2 games in a row. And they're games we shouldn't lose because they get so caught up in their heads about, we're so good, we don't have to put much effort in. We just won 2 games in a row. Then they mess up and lose 2 games. So as long as we stay consistent, we should do extremely well. We always talk about winning Class 2A, whatever Class A we're in, and going to state for KHSAA, winning the regionals. Every year, those are our goals. And we're going to hit them sooner or later, all of them, and because we have the kids that can do it, and they realize now that they can. We have a bunch of kids that are not afraid of any team.
Right.
They really are not afraid of any team. In the past, we'd have kids like, we don't know. They heard Bowling Green teams, they're like, oh, no. These kids are like, yeah, we're going to beat them. They just know they're going to beat them. And that's the big difference.
When you look at your district, Warren East came in a couple of years ago. They won it their first year in there. And then you guys came back and reclaimed the crown after they had knocked you off. And then, of course, Lawrence is over at Barren now, and he always does a good job with the programs he coaches.
Right.
Allen was much improved over the last couple of years. I mean, new program, but getting better. When you look at your district, how do you kind of view it? What do you think about the teams in it and the competitiveness of it?
Well, as our boys know by now, with the reputation that the Glasgow boys have, they know that they're always the target. Mm-hmm. So you know what? When you're the target, it doesn't matter how a team is performing for the season. When they get to play you, they have energy. I don't know where they get it from. And we've seen that all the time.
Yeah.
And so we have to respect all of any opponent we play, not just our district, but any team that we play, because you never know what's going to happen. You know, they come in and they want to win, and we've seen that happen. Mm-hmm. We've been beaten by teams that we have no business losing to. Mm-hmm. You know, but they come in all ready to fight, and then we're like, we're going to win, and then they just tear us apart. So we look at them like, we have to bring our A game every game.
I think a team that probably struck that note with you guys last year may have been Russell County.
Yes.
Because you tied them the first time and then lost them close to the end of the season. Uh-huh. And that's a team that it seemed like caught you guys a little off guard both times you played them.
Yes, they did. And Coach Betts, and we talked about it. He's like, I was surprised we beat you guys. And me too, Coach. But they're a good team.
Yeah.
They're a good team. And those are the things that wake our boys up.
Yeah.
They have to wake up. There are even games where we might have won, but they still woke us up because they proved to be tougher than they should have been. Mm-hmm. You know, and so with this group of kids, they're aware of that. They're aware that we have to be focused the whole game. Mm-hmm. We'd be focused for maybe a quarter of the game in the past, like last season, and then we think that we can fall behind by 2 goals. We'll come back in the second half and win, and then they don't do it.
Right.
So hopefully they've learned from that.
Yeah. I guess you think that age and experience with these guys, having so many of them back, is key to hopefully they figure this out, huh?
Well, you know that we play a specific system. We play a specific way. Mm-hmm. And it's challenging for someone to come in first season and pick it up.
Right.
So, of course, the longer they're with us, the easier it gets. They get to understand what to do. So when we have our kids now, that most of them are from middle school, of course, it's a whole lot easier. They know how each other play. They understand our system. When we put in the tweaks, they pick them up easier compared to a new kid coming in. And almost, I would think that our entire team right now, they're either like, we have some kids that are brand new, but they're coming from middle school. I don't think we have a single high schooler that's brand new, coming from the outside. Okay. In the past, we'd have 1 or 2. All these kids are products of Glasgow, the system itself. So that's another plus that we have this year. And for the next couple of years, we'll have that.
Yeah. Anything else you can think of that folks should know about your team or the upcoming season? Anything you guys got going on?
Well, we'd like their support. We have a new sponsor, and this sponsor is really great. The parents are stepping up. They always come and ask, what does the team need? And we appreciate that. We appreciate the support we have from the school, the principal, the AD. But it would be nice to have, we see baseball games and the place is packed. Everybody goes to baseball. Yeah. And then football is always packed, right? But basketball, and then we go for soccer and they're like 20 people.
Yeah.
We'd like to have people come out and support us because these kids work really hard, and it'd be nice to be there and to just light some fire into them. Just if they see 200 people at the complex watching the game, believe me, I don't think I have to worry about them goofing off.
Right.
So that would be nice. That would be really nice to have.
Yeah. And I guess, with Barren having their own field now, you guys kind of have the ownership of the complex in a way, because in terms of parking and all that.
Yeah, that's
in the past, that's always been a challenge.
I didn't think about that. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
We can't use their field, but yes, the park, we have lots of space. So another thing, fill up the parking lot, folks. Come and give us support. We need it.
All right, sounds good. Well, Coach Mahung, I want to thank you for stopping by and talking to us about your team, and good luck to you guys this season.
Thank you.
All right, this is James Brown. I'm here on the Brown Sports Bag, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
All right, we're back here on the Brown Sports Bag. I want to thank Coach Ken Mahung for coming in and talking to us about the Glasgow Scottish soccer team. Had a young team last year. They've been, I think it was 2 years ago, whenever I told the folks over at Warren East, and Warren East beat them in the district championship. I was like, you better beat them this year because all those dudes out there are freshmen, and proved to be the case.
Yeah, then they got better as the year went on last year, too.
Yes, they did. Yeah. Yes, they did. And so he was talking about the fact that they've been playing pretty well in the summer, and he's got these guys. And, you know, you as a coach, you know, when you've had that team and it's kind of the same team coming back, that first year or first couple of years, it's just basically teaching them how to be a basketball player, you know, like just the general how to be here. But by the time they get a little older, you know, you can start putting in things in your system and running stuff that
you should be better.
Yeah,
should be. If you got talent, you should be better.
Yeah,
with age. Yes.
Yeah. Which they had some talent. I mean, you had Jared Maligon last year. I mean, he was outstanding. Kicked for the football team and then led the team in goals on soccer as well. So
strength matches up with skills. That's when, you know, the older they get, you know, they got the skills early, and then their strength, speed, and so forth matches up with that. That's when you really improve.
Yeah.
Or the opposite. You may be big enough and not skilled, and sometimes just the repetition, you get more skills, too. That works that way, too.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting district, I think, because, I mean, Lawrence, of course, always does a really good job.
Does a great job, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, he'll have Barren County ready to play. He'll come in here next week and talk to us about his team. And then, of course, Warren East, I mean, they've been pretty good the last few years. And they were good right out of the gate in the district. Barren, of course, beat them in the first round last year. It was a heck of a game. So it'll be interesting between those three. And Allen's got about 2 or 3 guys who are pretty good. I don't think they're quite there yet as a team.
Still a new program.
Yeah.
Relatively.
Yeah. So one of your favorites? Well, your favorite maybe in the sense of a golf tournament because of the challenge that the Open usually presents for these professional players.
Second favorite. U.S. Open's first.
Yeah. But you like that, especially at the Royal Troon, because you never know what the conditions are going to be like.
Yeah. It was I enjoyed watching the formerly was the British Open. Now it's just the Open. Yeah, they got bad weather a couple of days, a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and consequently the scoring was down, and players struggled, double, triple bogeyed. I mean, Tiger again didn't make the cut. Bryson Chimberly, who won the U.S. Open, didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad scores. So, yeah, I thought it was fun to watch because you really have to obviously your skill. There's a lot of things go to it, but a lot of that when you're under adversity that long, it's attitude.
Yeah.
Who can handle it? I mean, who can make a bad shot, understand just to wipe it away and make the next one.
The good old classic mental toughness.
Mental toughness, and the one thing you can control is attitude and things like that. And it's hard to you can tell the players that got frustrated, but it's still a big challenge. And the winner, American again, is Xander Scheffler or whatever. It's his second major, second this year. Won the PGA at Valhalla. Scotty Scheffler's won one major in 6 tournaments. So both Americans are 1-2 in the world, and but a great performance by him. I mean, he shot 65 on the last day to win.
Yeah.
He wasn't in the lead. There were 6 players within 1 stroke of each other, and he ended up winning by 2. So he clearly played better than anybody the last day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an impressive run for him. I thought about the fact that the Royal Troon conditions were challenging, and then Valhalla ended up being challenging, not necessarily for him directly, but I think on the last day they had the weather issue, or maybe it was on the Saturday they had the weather issue at Valhalla.
Yeah, it rained, but it just slowed. It just made the course softer, which helped him. I mean, the winning score of Valhalla, I think, was 20 under.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't too challenging for him.
Yeah.
But, and in second place was Justin Rose, an English guy. So, in fact, they were in the same group together. And obviously, Justin Rose is probably going to have more support in England. That's where he's from. But, I mean, Xander, he really doesn't have a weakness. He's not a big guy, but he hits it long, but has a great short game. And now, after winning the PGA, he's been close a bunch of times. At one time, he was the best player to not win a major. He kind of broke through, and I think once you get that first one, it helps you to relax.
Yeah.
And then you become even better under pressure. And it seems like to me that's what's going on with him.
Yeah, that 65 on the final day is an impressive run at that particular tournament, just because we were talking about the conditions, that you're playing against.
It wasn't the last day was the best conditions they faced.
Yeah. Well, I guess that also, though, you're talking about the frustration. I mean, you may have that may be the best day that you face conditions-wise, but the other 3 days may have broken you before you get there.
True.
So it's still pretty impressive, I guess, just to not be in the hole by the time you get to
They
that
shot
last day.
9 under, and that's I think Rose was 7 under, and I think there were only 10 players that broke par for the tournament.
Isn't that just crazy, professional golfers? I mean, that tells you something about what they're playing against.
Mm-hmm.
Did you catch the friendly between South Sudan and Team USA basketball?
I did not. I saw the result.
Well,
LeBron bailed us out, right?
Well, I don't know, but
it made the game winner, had 26 points, yeah.
Well, I don't know. So Mika Tier, who played at Caverna, see, he's from South Sudan.
Okay.
Now, he didn't play on their team, but they had this point guard. Well, first of all, Winyan Gabriel played for South Sudan.
Not all that played on the team was from there. That's not, that's a lot of other nations. If you got grandparents or kinfolks, or you used to be, you can kind of slide over. So I don't think all those players were.
They didn't grow up in South Sudan.
That's what I'm saying.
During the midst of a civil war.
Oh, okay.
No, they did not. But it did strike me that Winyan Gabriel was on the team. And then the other thing that struck me was, this is why I asked you if you saw it, the point guard for South Sudan, that dude was impressive. He ended up with a triple-double.
Well, he's been playing in the G League, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's like a G League all-star.
He was the MVP of the G League.
I mean, I don't watch the G League, so I hadn't seen him play. Yeah. But I mean, I was just absolutely impressed with his game, because he was a fascinating player, because he's not real big, but I mean, he can handle the ball. And one of the shots he took that I really liked was a layup where he basically just did the little lean back into the dude who was 3 times his size to hold him off with his body and shoot the little floater layup. And I was just like, yeah, this guy's got all the crafty game in the world. I mean, he's a Rucker Park all-star if he wanted to be.
But you said it was a friendly.
That's what they said it was.
Well, that means it doesn't count.
No, it doesn't count.
Okay, it's a scrimmage.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to get tore up over a scrimmage. Okay.
Are you kidding? A lot of people were torn up, John.
Right, well, okay.
I mean, they were afraid now that Team USA can't beat the likes of Serbia, even though they've already beaten them twice, I think.
And if they don't,
you don't care about that.
Okay. I mean, I'm for the USA, but I'm not losing sleep if the NBA All-Stars don't win a game.
Yeah.
I'm much more compelled to watch a 19-year-old track person or a swimmer.
Yeah,
that's just me, to be honest with you.
That's fine. I just bring it up because that guy's game, I enjoyed watching him play.
Okay, well, follow South Sudan. I
might just do that. I think I'm going to message Mika Tier and ask him if he's going to the Olympics to watch his
there you go,
his fellow nation play, because I mean, Meek did grow up there until I think he was about 15 or so. Okay. So he's familiar. He's familiar with the plight of South Sudan.
Okay.
But anyway, I was amused watching the game, just mostly because I was just impressed by that guy.
I missed that one.
Yeah, I didn't figure you watched it. Let's switch seats real quick. We're not going to take a break. We're just going to bring Robin McMurtrey in.
You got this.
We are joined by Barren County Volleyball coach Robin McMurtrey. And we got a break toward the end of the show, so we're just going to go ahead and just roll right into you telling us about Barren County Volleyball. How about that?
Well, let me first start by saying we started the camp today for youth. We had 145 kids show up today for camp.
Good gracious.
That's a lot.
That's
what is
great.
The age range of that?
The first session is kindergarten through 5th grade, and there were 62 of them, and the rest of them were 6, 7, 8, 9.
Last time the last year I was coaching basketball, we went to the elementary schools like always to promote it. Here's our brochures, come to our camp, blah blah blah. And I remember one of the last questions was asked me about a little 4th grade girl. She said. About this camp, she said, "Do we bring a sleeping bag?" she thought it was one of those camps where you're going to stay all night.
Stay all night. They would. I believe they would stay all night.
You're like, sure if you like, but I'm not staying.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they can stay, but the rest of us will probably go home. No, it was a great first day. That's a lot of kids. That means the interest is good.
Yeah.
Interest is good.
I'm curious because I go and, I shot some photos at some of the basketball camps, and my favorite are like the K through 2nd grade. Because, I mean, they're just running around having a good time. I mean, there's a ball involved, and sometimes they know it and sometimes they don't. I mean, but I can't imagine volleyball just because.
You have a lower net for the smaller ones?
We do have. We set up 3 different size nets. So we have like really low for little kids, and then we just progress it up till we get to the big kids.
So what do you kind of work on with them?
We do all the skills. You
Really?
it's like station skills. You do passing, setting, blocking, hitting, rotation. Rotation's the best one to watch because nobody has any idea. But they really do work on pass serving. They can all serve.
Yeah.
So it's been Austin Tracy started a youth league this time. Had over 130 some kids, I think, at their camp at their league.
Yeah.
So then we've just carried it over. So it's good. It's good for everybody. There's some Glasgow kids. There's Metcalf kids. There's Barren kids.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good turnout.
We've talked about that, like the challenge here, and not just for Barren, but for Glasgow and Metcalf and Monroe, the outside of the Bowling Green area where they kind of have these youth programs that these kids are growing up in, and then, that's why those schools are pretty good at volleyball. And I guess Logan County must have had one for a long time too, because they're good year in and year out.
Yeah.
And so it's good that you guys are working on, getting that youth movement going in volleyball.
Well, yeah, because typically, everybody else is starting 2nd grade, and we're starting 7th grade.
Yeah.
So we've been a little behind. So this will help push us maybe at least to the front again.
Yeah. Well, tell me a bit about your team. I know you had a bunch of seniors last year.
I did. It was like a mass exodus.
Yeah,
it was.
it was.
We graduated 8 seniors,
Yeah.
all with a lot of experience. But looking at the first thing I'm going to say about us right now is we're scrappy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know we've got to develop some skills where we're like a fresh group. But
Right.
there's a lot of returning players with a lot of experience. But when I say scrappy, like at the end of the day, we just get to play like just for fun to see. And, man, we're scrappy. So, and I need that because if
Yeah.
sometimes where you're lacking skill, you're scrappy, you'll be okay.
So I guess that means they're getting on the floor for balls and
Competitive.
Yeah, we're very competitive, I think, right now.
Yeah.
And looking at what's around us, because some other people lost quite a few people too, but we are we're competitive, but we have a little grit, a little want to, and so we only have 2 seniors.
Right.
So we
And
lost
who are they?
Kennedy Gill and Madison Turner are the returning seniors.
You had a really good sophomore last year, wasn't it? Didn't you have a good sophomore?
No, and Ashley Agason led the state in blocks.
That's what I thought.
For
Should be a
most
junior.
of them. She was either in the top 3 the whole entire season, and she will be a
Well,
junior.
she's long. You just
Yeah.
watch her play basketball.
Yeah.
She's long, which clearly will help in volleyball too.
We've got a lot of height this time. We've got several kids that are pushing that 6 foot plus.
Yeah.
And so they're they want to play the back row, and it's just really hard for a big kid to play the back row for 2 things. You don't want them to get hurt.
Right.
And then, the reaction time. I mean, they've got a lot farther to go than your little 4-footer to go to the ground. But we're going to be, I think, pretty good if we can stay the course.
So you mentioned, you had a bunch of seniors, but you also had a bunch of sophomores last year
Yes,
as well.
that is a big class. I think there's 10 of them this year, and it's just a big class. And they are an interesting bunch. They are either like 6 foot tall or under like 5'3". They're a very interesting group, but they communicate well and they work well together. And so a lot of those kids play the back row for the front row kids. And so they work well together, and they're just really enthusiastic, and they're just really good kids. You know what I mean by good kids? Like, they're gonna cheer for everybody all the time, even if they're never on the court. Just a good bunch.
Well, my knowledge of volleyball has been shaped by watching U of L and UK in the last so many years. And I've really enjoyed watching them. I tell you what, you're talking about crowd-wise, incredible to watch. And both of those teams, and I assume it's down at your level too, they have good setters, right? The setters are like the quarterbacks, right?
Yes,
They're
if
like
you
the
don't
point
have a good
guards, the
setter,
point
you're
guards,
not
right?
going to hit the ball.
Well, I assume since you've got either ones that you're working on or you have good setters. Is that
Now,
correct?
Savannah Murrow will probably be our main varsity setter. She's coming in as a junior, but she came with a lot of experience. She played a lot of travel ball outside of Kentucky. She's a Tennessee kid that transferred. And so she has really nice hands. We've got some other kids with hands. I've got some freshmen who have great hands who will see some time a little bit later on.
That's what makes good setters, hands.
Yeah, you just got to have really nice, like it's like just
Soft
a weight,
hands,
soft hands, and they're not stiff, and you have to be able to read the court.
Good judgment.
You got to know where all your hitters are.
Especially your best ones.
Yes,
I assume you want to
you
set
do.
mostly to your
It's
better
It's a
spot.
game of strategy,
Yeah.
and you have to know, is this a good time for me to dump the ball over? Do I set the outside? Can I set a back row here because somebody's weaker in the front? You got all those things to think about. And we do have a lot of experience in that department coming back.
Yeah, I guess Savannah Morrell was one of those sophomores last year. That, I mean, because I think she played all the time, despite the fact that you had all the seniors.
Well, and I had her playing libero a lot too. Yeah. I ran her in as my libero because she just got fast feet.
Yeah.
So then, like, I could switch her out. And the next game, I might have her as a second setter. Right. So yeah, she's got a lot of experience in that department.
When you mentioned the size, I think about the ones that I know that play other sports. So I think Adley Cunningham was in that sophomore group. I'm guessing she's still playing volleyball.
Yes, she is.
Hannah Bragg was in that sophomore group.
Yep.
I mean, what is she, 6'3", 2", something
at
like
least,
that?
At least.
And then Riley Wilton, maybe about 5'9" or so. I'm guessing she's still playing volleyball.
And wait till you see her strength increase. She threw the discus this year.
No, we kept up with her.
And when she hits the ball, it's a different kid on the court. Like it's it's real explosive where she's got that extra strength. That was a good thing for us to have her do. It was good for her to. It was good for her to do a little track and field.
Yeah, I mean, she had an impressive spring with the discus and the shot.
Yes.
So.
I should have said Western too in the volleyball.
Yes.
Because I've been to a couple of their games too. That's another top 25 program.
Now coming up on I think it's the 27th of August. There's a showcase. It's Louisville, UK, Nebraska, and Wisconsin at the Yum Center. We're going to take our kids go. We're going to go up and watch. That's the only night we don't play on a Tuesday. It's the only Tuesday in the whole season, and we're going to load up and go watch that. You should go. You could go with us, Coach.
Well, Tuesday?
Might ride the bus on a Tuesday.
Oh, boy.
Ride the bus on a Tuesday.
Don't like that. I can meet you there.
It's been a while since he's ridden the bus. So we talked a little bit about your team and that kind of thing. Well, let's talk about your schedule. I think you guys get started August 19th or something like that.
Is that the first Monday? We're off with a bang. We play
window,
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday almost every week.
Yeah. So when you look at your schedule and the season upcoming, I mean, what are your expectations for this team?
It's heavy travel this time. We have a lot of teams that we typically play a home and away, but I wanted us to branch out a little bit, so we've gone to just one. We're going to play you once a season, so we'll play away a lot this season so that we can play at home next season a lot. Also, we got a little construction. We might want to try to be away for a while, a little bit if we can. It's become a headache. So when I look at our schedule, I might schedule some teams that I'm sure will give us either a run for our money or that we might not compete, but we'll be better for playing them. And then we schedule, our district, East has been pretty strong. I think we can compete with East.
Now, I think they have a coaching change, though,
They had
right?
a coaching change. There were a lot of coaching changes this season. I got a lot of emails saying, hey, I'm the new coach, should verify schedules. Allen County is always, that's a rival no matter what it is. It wouldn't matter if they were any good or really good. It's just going to be a rival just because it's the head-on rival.
Yeah.
And then, Glasgow's always I call that the head game.
Right.
It's like they're all home. All of those games are home, and so it's a bigger crowd and it's a lot more people. But when I looked at our schedule and I scheduled us out, you're losing 8 seniors, but you can be competitive, but you want to play teams that are really good. I've put us in a couple of tournaments that we'll have to fight a little bit to get out of, but that'll be good for us. It's good to do that early in the season, so you see where you are heading into the postseason.
Are you also hosting one this year as well?
We do host we host the Battle in the Barrens. It's a 10-team tournament, and we typically end up having to scrap out of that one ourselves too.
Right.
That's a good long day because the kids have to work and play, but it's a good fundraiser, and it's good to have people come to your campus. People are always complimentary of hospitality in the campus and how great things are, but we like to get a little home court advantage. You like to play at home when you can.
You mentioned playing. So was your anticipation with this schedule because you have so many juniors, so you basically will have the same team back next year, that you were looking at making this schedule and then also looking at it in terms of what next year will look like for your team?
Yes, you got to look ahead a couple of years actually too.
Yeah.
And so if it stays the same, because we had a lot of kids try out.
Yeah.
You lose 2 seniors this year, so you're just losing 2 kids. But then next year you lose 10.
Right.
So then so when you're fielding a team, you're like, okay, in a couple of years, that's 12 kids that's just exited your program. So you've got to have some young kids that you're going to develop. So when you're thinking about your schedule, you got to go, okay, what's this need to look like for a couple of years out?
Yeah. What are your expectations in terms of, how do you think you guys can do in the district? Because you mentioned East, even though they have a new coach. Obviously they built a really good program recently.
They did. They lost some big guns too.
Yeah. And
they lost really tall, big guns. I think we can win the district tournament.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there. I think we can win it.
Yeah. Well, because I think Allen lost some of their key players as well.
Everybody's lost a lot of height and a lot of leadership.
Yeah.
So I do think we can win it if we stay the course.
Yeah.
Now we'll have to we'll have to have some focus, and you've got to have some kids step up. When you only have 2 seniors, your juniors are going to have to play like seniors.
Right. Well, and I guess in the region, it's Greenwood, Logan County, and
Bowling Green's been good the last couple of years.
That's right.
Yeah.
In fact, they won it
Yeah.
a couple years ago, didn't it?
So Logan County ended up winning this time. And, well, Greenwood's always been a powerhouse. Bowling Green has a new coach this time.
Oh, yeah.
They have a new coach. They've always been a powerhouse. It's like this last time, there was some like surprises that showed up. Like Russell showed up in the region and looked pretty decent, and they also have a new coach. It's like all these new coaches. I'm starting to think maybe as old folks
it's a tough profession.
All these old folks what's all everybody our age, and everybody's like, I'm getting out, and I'm like, oh, I'll just stay in here a little bit longer.
You're the elder statesperson.
It don't take long to be the elder statesperson.
It is a lot of turnover. Coaching in general in every sport has a lot of turnover. It is a hard job. You got to love kids, I think, to do it. You got to love the sport to do it, and you got to have a pretty big backbone.
Tough skin.
You got to have some tough skin, and sometimes that's not as easy as everybody thinks it is.
Sure.
But I'll tell you, I cannot complain at all. I have really good parents who support the program and the kids. And I don't have that. I was in a meeting with a bunch of coaches and was really shocked and surprised at the stories that they had to tell, and I just had good stories to tell. So I can't say enough about my parents that they let me coach their kids, and which is good. I think that's what helps us out too.
Yeah. Anything else you want folks to know about the Barren County volleyball program?
We did get a really good transfer in from Texas. I think you're going to want to watch her. She's little, but she's mighty. Her vertical's really tall. She's a jump server. She came in January. Of course, the season was already over and transferred in, and I think she's going to be a big addition to our team. That's, of course, another junior.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to it. I think if you want to see scrappy, go get it volleyball, we're going to be your team to watch.
Cool. All right. We've been here with Robin McMurtrey, Barren County volleyball coach. Thanks for joining us again this year.
Thanks so much, Mr. Brown.
You are welcome. And this is the Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
All right, we're back here on the Brown Sports Bag. Parade of coaches coming in here. We a couple today. We had Ken Mahung talking about Glasgow boys soccer and Robin McMurtrey talking about Barren County volleyball. It's always good to get the coaches in here to talk about their teams. We have others that we have scheduled. I think we have 3 coaches scheduled for next week. And then I've got a couple that I need to get back in touch with. One I didn't know was not coaching anymore, so there's that. I mean, we've talked about this, John, on here in the last couple of years. The high volume of coach turnover that we've seen in every sport.
Yep.
In recent years.
Not what it used to be. It's tough. I mean, it's most sports take almost a 9-month, 10-month commitment.
Yeah.
And that's tough. There's a lot of parental issues that you have to deal with, and plus the one thing that hasn't changed is the money's not really any different now than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's just
And if you're a teacher as well, I mean, the demands on the teacher have accelerated a lot in the last 20 years.
That's exactly right. So there's a lot of factors that are involved.
Yeah. But I'm happy when they come in here and they talk to us about their teams and their players, and it's good to get to their perspective on their anticipation for their team. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Did you watch the All-Star game last week? The baseball All-Star game?
No. I don't watch All-Star games.
I know you don't. I ask these questions knowing the answer, John.
No, absolutely not.
Well, I mean,
I didn't watch one at bat.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you skipped the home run derby too.
Did not watch it.
I have never gotten into the home run derby.
I haven't either.
It's just not a thing that I've ever been interested in.
No, and the way they changed. I mean, I remember Sosa and McGuire and things like that, and it was pretty interesting. But they changed it now the last couple of years where you get timeouts and all this other stuff, and it's just, to me, it's kind of lost. It's kind of like the dunk contest in basketball. I don't want to be interested in watching that anymore either.
Yeah. I did not realize they'd done the timeouts because I was waiting to – I write the sports report that Todd Belcher reads every morning on the station and WHHT. And so I was waiting for the home run contest to get done so I could like just have that info in there and then have some info about the All-Star game in the report. And I was like, man, this thing is taking forever.
It took over 3 hours.
Yeah, and and then, you know, and when I say it was taking forever, I didn't even start checking until they were in the final two.
It's like half a college football game now.
Yeah. College football game. Yeah.
Speaking of long.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's another thing. Do you ever watch these like conference? Well, I guess not watch. Read about these conference days. You know, whenever they have the press days or that kind of stuff.
That doesn't interest me either.
Yeah. No. Why is that? I thought that would be something you might be interested in.
What, coaches just
telling lies?
Telling lies. You think they're going to come up and go, "We're going to stink this year"? Just write it down.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to say it. They're not going to tell you.
Lou Holtz days are over, right?
Those days are over.
Yeah. Lou Holtz ain't walking through that door anytime soon.
You're just not. They're just not going to. And they can't really say a lot about NIL and the transfer portal because that affects their recruiting.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't pay much attention to that either.
Yeah, I do. You know,
the SEC, you know, bragging about the SEC gets a little old.
Did you see, though, that Oklahoma, I think, was picked to finish 8th in the SEC?
8 out of 16?
Yeah.
That's about right, isn't it?
I mean, I guess. I figured.
They're not better than Texas.
No.
They're not better than Georgia.
No.
They're not better than Alabama.
You don't think?
Alabama's got the quarterback back.
True. They got a different coach. Do you think that matters?
No, not a whole lot. I think he's really good.
Yeah.
They're not better than Tennessee, I don't think. So there's 4. Missouri was, 12-1 last year?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's Ole Miss is one of the top teams in the country.
Hey, they should be.
So
I mean, they may not stop
Oklahoma
anybody. They may put up 70 a game.
7 or 6 or 7th. I don't know.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem unreasonable.
Yeah, I guess I just figured the voting itself would give some more weight to them, but I guess maybe not.
They hadn't been that good in the last couple of years.
No, I mean that's true. I mean they've been Big 12, right? They've been able to score points and stop nobody.
Well,
so more or less.
Since the coach went to USC, they hadn't even scored like they've been in the past.
That's true. Going back to the Lane Kiffin / Ole Miss thing, I think during the summer I was reading a thing, and they are projected to have the number 1 rated offense in the country just because of what's returning and what transferred in and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, they should be really good.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you know, Kiffin's defenses are always
depends on who his coordinator is.
True.
He just turns it over to them, right?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, because I would say that looks at the recruiting, they recruited some really good defensive talent. You know, I guess it depends on how it goes together.
He's done a really good, like him or not, he's done a great job at Ole Miss. They are a top 10 program in the last couple of years.
It's kind of fascinating because maybe Ole Miss was like the place he always needed to be because he never seemed to be settled anywhere else he went. You know, he always seemed to be pretty antsy.
He probably still could be antsy.
He probably could.
Yeah, if the right job came open. You wouldn't just stay in Ole Miss if the right job came open.
I don't know. Oxford's a nice town.
He's not from there. I don't think.
No, he's not. Yeah. I do think he kind of loves the circumstance, though, because, I mean, he's the biggest fish possible in a very small pond, and that does seem to appeal to him quite a bit.
Right.
So, and it's kind of, because the program's doing so well, it's kind of turned him into a big fish in the SEC, which is a big pond at this point in time, but that might appeal to him as well. But you're right. I mean, I was kind of surprised he did not I guess I was surprised he wasn't given a couple of real opportunities at a couple of places that came open, you know, last year. So, and it doesn't look like he really was. So maybe he's also still at Ole Miss because other people, they haven't quite decided they want to take the risk on him.
Yeah, I'd take him.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, what ethics or rules are in college football anymore anyway?
No, none.
Okay.
But,
I mean,
really,
seriously, I mean, anybody that almost excludes somebody because he didn't like how he acted at USC or Tennessee anymore, like, come on. I mean, it's just a grab bag for money and wins anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's professional.
I mean, I would say if you look at his non-coaching track record, there's nothing.
And he's been solid at Ole Miss too.
Well,
he's been really good, and they score a lot of points. And you know, he's brash, but you know, I don't have a problem with him.
Yeah, I was going to say though, you know, since leaving Tennessee, I mean, his the non-football stuff hasn't really been as big an issue for him. And mostly it's just his personality.
And he's been right on a lot of things. He said he said we are taking advantage of the bad rules, but he said it's untenable the way the system's set up. He said it's free agency every year without contracts, and he's right.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say also, his biggest thing seems to have been through his time, especially in college, is his relationship to the administration, not the outside of the school itself. You know, I mean, that was kind of the deal with him and, was it Philip Fulmer at Tennessee? I mean, they didn't get along, and then I think maybe that was kind of the same thing at USC.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, so if you can tolerate his personality as his boss, then he's probably just fine. Mm-hmm. He seems to be a problem whenever he doesn't get along with his boss. But what are you looking forward to the college football season? I mean, I know we kind of had a joke a couple of weeks ago about.
I'm not. Yes, do I look forward to college football season? Yes. Am I wrapped up into it like a lot of people? No.
Yeah.
I still don't like the conference realignments. I don't like a lot of the system right now. They eventually got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I've said it 1,000 times. I don't see how you grow the game when you shrink it.
Yes.
When you exclude half the country from even being able to participate, I don't see how that grows the game.
Yeah.
I do like the 12-team playoff, but I got a funny feeling that now it's a 12-team playoff, which means you'll have to win 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's now you're increasing injury risk even more on players who could be going to the pros next year. We'll see if there's opt-outs in the playoffs, and I'm dead serious. I don't think there will be, but we'll see.
I kind of wonder
because now they're going to be playing 16, 17 games.
Yeah, I mean they're going to play a professional schedule.
That's correct.
If they get to that championship game, but one of the things that seemed to have happened last year was there were fewer opt-outs than there had been even prior to the pandemic.
Well, the bowl games, everybody opts out.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't even count those. I just mean kind of
right. But there's only 4-team playoff.
Yeah,
and so you're only playing 2 games. So nobody's opting out really in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they opt out when the playoffs are longer. I don't think they will be, but I do think the conferences need to eliminate their own conference tournament. That's just an extra game for money.
Yeah.
And now that you can take multiple teams into the playoffs, I don't even know what it serves other than just a grab bag for more money, which is generally what motivates them anyway.
I mean, Atlanta would be very disappointed if they canceled such things, and maybe Birmingham and.
I hate to do what's best for the student athlete, though. Eliminate another game.
So would the mayor of Atlanta. He'd hate for him to do that too. I guess maybe, I don't know. I can't think of where the other conference tournament championships are. But you are correct, though.
It's an unnecessary game.
Yeah.
Both teams that get to the SEC championship are going to the playoffs anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it is a pretty unnecessary
Same thing in the
situation.
Big Ten.
So
you could actually opt out of that game. Not even play your best players in that one and rest for the next week.
Yeah, I mean,
you may lose some seeding, but you're still in.
Yeah, that's very true. Will there be a Pac-10 this year? Are there any teams? Or 2 teams left? They're going to play just each other the whole year?
No, there is a Pac conference.
Yeah.
Just 2 teams, Oregon State and Washington State. They're playing basically the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah.
But the conference is still there.
That's just amazing.
It is. Sad what happened. I mean, they just got decimated by basically mismanagement on one hand and greed on the other hand.
Yeah,
greed by the college presidents and mismanagement by not being able to work out conference deals and so forth.
Well, they hired that one dude who was going to save them, and he did everything wrong. So, anyway, that's Brown Sports Bag this week. Thank you to the coaches for joining us. We'll be back next week. Presented by McDonald's Glasgow.
Thanks for listening, and be sure and join James and John once again next Monday at 4 for the Brown Sports Bag, a local weekly sports machine presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. Coming soon to your FM dial, this is Fox Sports Radio, WCDS Glasgow, AM 1230.